Dear students, welcome to the channel English Classes with Rashmi Rajput. Warm greetings to you all. The poetry which we are going to discuss today is An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum, written by Stephen Spender from the book Flamingo. The theme of this poetry is social justice and need to improve the living conditions for children in slums. In this poetry, Stephen Spender has presented a true picture of the life of the school children living in the slums. The children are in a very miserable condition due to their poverty and illiteracy. They are depressed. Their pale faces express sadness. They look lean, skinny, and bony. They are like rootless weeds which can't resist anything for their existence. They are physically very weak and undernourished. Spender voices his concern for these children who live all their life in slums and have no opportunity to enjoy the real blessings of life. He makes a frantic appeal to the educated and affluent sections of the society to better the lot of the slum children through education. It will remove social injustice and class inequality. In stanza 1, the poet has written, "Far, far from gusty waves these children's faces, like rootless weeds the hair torn round their pallor. The tall girl with her weight down head, the paper-seeming boy with rat's eyes, the stunted unlucky heir of twisted bones, reciting a father's gnarled disease. His lesson, his desk, at back of dim glass, one unnoted, sweet and young. His eyes live in a dream of a squirrel's game in tree room other than this." In this stanza, Stephen Spender shows us that the condition of the children in a slum school is pathetic. Their world is far from our healthy and fresh environment. They are like rootless weeds, unwanted and cast out. Their hair are unkempt and untidy. Their faces clearly show the plight of their existence. A particular tall girl is described by the poet. She has a bowed down head, which shows the burden of her stressed life. Another boy, who is as thin as paper, also has the same undernourished looking face. He has a scared expression in his eyes. These unlucky children have only acquired diseases and bad luck from their parents. One of them is even not able to get up from his desk to read out the lesson. However, the poet says there is one particular boy who is a little younger than the rest. He has still hopes and dreams with him. He waits for the time when he can go out in the open to play. The environment of gloom has not yet engulfed his dreams and hopes. He was not paying attention to the class. It seemed as if he was rather interested in playing with the squirrels in the tree house. In second stanza, the poet has written, "On sour cream walls donations Shakespeare's head, cloudlets at dawn civilized dome riding all cities, belled flowery Tyrolese valley, open-handed map awarding the world its world, and yet for these children, these windows not this map their world, where all their futures painted with a fog, a narrow street sealed in with a lead sky, far, far from rivers, capes and stars of words." In second stanza, the poet describes the classroom, which is also dirty and neglected like its inhabitants. The classroom too exhibits an atmosphere of depression and gloom. The walls are cream in color, and on them the names of the donors are engraved. A bust of the great poet Shakespeare with a background of a sky is put on. The walls have pictures of splendid Tyrolese valley, which is a sharp contrast to the atmosphere of classroom. There are maps on the walls which show them the harsh world from their classroom windows. Their world presents a future to them which is dark and cruel. The poet describes out a harsh reality of these children. These children are trapped in a hopeless situation and their world is afar from the beautiful nature as rivers, valleys, and seas. In the third stanza, the poet has written, "Surely Shakespeare is wicked, the map a bad example, with ships and sun and love tempting them to steal, for lives that slyly turn in their cramped holes, from fog to endless night. On their slag heap these children wear skins peeped through by bones and spectacles of steel, with mended glass, like bottle bits on stones. All of their time and space are foggy slum, so blot their maps with slums as big as doom." In this stanza, Stephen Spender suddenly attacks Shakespeare's picture and calls it wicked. He says so because he feels Shakespeare has poisoned the children's mind by misleading them that their world is beautiful. It has corrupted the young minds, which in turn had made them to steal and escape from their confinements. The poet feels deep-rooted sadness for the condition of the slum children. The children are so skinny that they seem to be wearing skins. The glasses of the spectacles seem to have been mended several times. The total appearance of the children show their deprivation and undernourished conditions. The poet feels that the classroom should have pictures of huge slums instead of those scenic graphics. Here the poet tries to explain that these kids have to face so many hardships in their lives. As these slums are getting bigger day by day, they will destroy the future of these children, and it is very difficult for such kids to escape from them. And in the last stanza, the poet has written, "Unless governor, inspector, visitor, this map becomes their window, and these windows that shut upon their lives like catacombs. Break, oh break, open till they break the town, and show the children to green fields, and make their world run azure on gold sands, and let their tongues run naked into books the white and green leaves open. History theirs whose language is the sun." In the final stanza of an elementary school classroom in a slum, the poet uses a pacifying tone and appeals to the governor, inspector, and the visitors to do something about the condition of these slum schools. The map showing the beautiful world can be their reality too, if a little will and effort are put together. The poet hopes for a better future for these children. He wants the authorities to realize their responsibilities and free the children from such grave-like confinements. He wants the barriers to be pulled down. The children must break away from the school boundaries and enjoy the world beyond. Only that way they can enjoy the nature, the green fields and the golden sands. The poet wants them to sail, explore, and discover the world so that someday their names are found in history books. In this stanza, white leaves depicts books and green leaves depicts nature. This will then result in their progress and they will be able to paint a bright future for themselves. This poetry appeals to the rulers, the law enforcing bodies, and the philanthropists, represented by the governor, inspector, and visitor, to improve the condition of the children in the slums, which can be done through education. The poem ends on an optimistic note with the message that there are solutions to this problem, and a lot of these children can be improved. The poem raises concerns like sensitivity towards the underprivileged, equity, equality, awareness, philanthropy, optimism, determination, and the need to change the conditions of these children. The literary devices used in this poetry are simile. Children are compared with rootless weed. Example is like rootless wheat. Metaphor, boy is compared with paper as he is thin, paper seeming boy. Walls are described to be dull as sour cream. Sour cream walls. The future of the kids is described as limited. Narrow streets sealed with a lead sky. Books and nature are expressed in form of white and green leaves. The white-green leaves open. Next is repetition. Use of far to stress on the distance. Allusion. Reference to well-known person or place. Example is Shakespeare Head and Tyrolese Valley. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was fruitful for you to understand this poetry. Happy learning to you all.